Hello everyone. Welcome to SIUK India webinar. Thank you for joining us today. We are now live with University of Nottingham. We have Emma Winter with us from University of Nottingham. In this special webinar, we will learn more about academic excellence and life-changing opportunities at the University of Nottingham. Over to you, Emma.
Thank you so much. Sorry, it's a struggle to unmute myself, but my name's Emma and I'll be talking to you today about the University of Nottingham. I'm the International Relations Manager for South Asia here at the university. So my role essentially is to support students with their journey to the university and also with their decision making of where to study. We also have with us today Edwin, who's one of our international student ambassadors. He comes from the MSc International Business Programme, and I'll be passing over to him throughout our presentation today to just give a bit more of a student insight, really, and so you can hear sort of firsthand what it's like to study here at the university. And again, when we come to the end of the presentation, if you have any questions, we'll be able to take them then, and they can either be directed to both of us or to one of us. You may have a question that you want a sort of student perspective on as well, so feel free to specify in your question if it's sort of student centred. So just a little bit about the university and our reputation to begin with. So those of you that don't know us, we're a member of the Russell Group University. So Russell Group in the UK is similar to the America Ivy League. So essentially there's elite research focused universities here in the UK, some of the top universities here in the UK. We're ranked as a top 20 university in the QS World Rankings. We have a gold standard of teaching as well, and we're 8th in the UK as a research power. We're also in the Good University Guide for 2021 for our Sports University of the Year, so we have excellent sports facilities at the University of Nottingham. A question that I get asked quite a lot is, what's the university well known for? What are your kind of key subjects? So I've also outlined some individual rankings based on subjects on the screen here as well. So engineering is featured fairly heavily, as you can see. Veterinary and medicine is also featured quite heavily. Pharmacy and computer science are also among some of our top subjects. But to delve a little bit deeper into that, I'm also going to give you a quick overview of some of our famous alumni through history and what they've gone on to do. So back when the university was still a college, the writer and poet D.H. Lawrence actually studied at the university. In the 1960s, we had our alumni Stuart Adams, who won an OBE for developing the painkiller ibuprofen. So again, a really strong link to the pharmacy aspect at the university. In the 1970s, Professor Peter Mansfield contributed towards the development of our MRI technology and also won a Nobel Prize for his work in this area, and it continues to be a really strong area for our research. In 2003, Sir Clive Granger also won a Nobel Prize for his work in economics, and again that remains a subject that's still very, very strong at the university, and we still use a lot of Sir Clive Granger's initial kind of workings and findings, and what he won his Nobel Prize for kind of feeds into the content that we'll do as part of the economics course. It's also not just science, we also have alumni in the arts. So Ruth Wilson, who you may recognise, won a Golden Globe for her performance and won Best Actress for that. We also have Jonathan Van Tam, who's MBE Deputy Chief Medical Officer for England, and he's been working a lot with the UK government in terms of advising what the government should do for the pandemic, and also has played a huge part in the vaccination rollout that's taken place very successfully across the country. I also want to touch upon recent alumni from India as well, and what our students have gone on to do. And this is in the setting of what was kind of initial lockdown, so students that have now graduated last year and kind of had the last part of their course in a lockdown situation. So these students were still able to secure jobs after graduation. So Priya is one of our MBA students. She's now a senior consultant at EY. And she really felt that studying at the university helped her with her confidence, communication and presentation skills. So we do a lot of soft skill building at the university. There's a lot that you can do kind of whilst you're studying to kind of hone in these skills as well. We have Pratik, who's also now working for EY. He's done both his bachelor's and then came back to do a master's with us, which is quite common at the university because people kind of fall in love with the university and want to come back and continue their study here. So he said that his journey at the university played a pivotal role in his life as a student and later as a working professional, and his undergraduate experience at the university really challenged and transformed his beliefs, ideologies and aspirations. And I think that's something that's quite important when you're studying abroad. You do get a bit more of a dynamic sort of approach to what you're learning, and also in the classroom as well, it tends to be very diverse, which can come with its challenges and also allow you to kind of grow as an individual and be able to work in that sort of challenging environment. Just excuse the doorbell, kind of working from home is what happens. But we also have our recent alumni from India, Edwin, who graduated last year as well in architecture. So he's now working for Joseph Kemish Architects. They're based in the UK, as is Pratik. He's also based in the UK. So again, studying at the studios in Nottingham was a pivotal in his development as an architectural student and as a person. So the lessons not only opened his mind in architecture, but also gave him a new perspective on life and gave him the confidence to be more ambitious and also to look for these opportunities and to feel confident in finding these opportunities as well. So he's also won a REBA prize. It's not just kind of being able to secure a job, but he's also done really, really well kind of outside his course as well. I'm just going to very quickly, before I go on to my next slide, hand over to Edwin and just ask him to maybe talk a little bit about kind of why he chose Nottingham. I mean, there's some reasons there why you might think to look at Nottingham as a university, but if Edwin can just talk us through why he chose Nottingham and why it kind of felt like the right university for him.
Thank you, Emma. Hi everybody. I'm Ashwin Shankaran. I'm from India and I'm currently pursuing my MSc in International Business at the University of Nottingham. I started my course in January and so far it's been great. The kind of experience I'm getting from the university, though I started my classes through online mode. I didn't sort of find a difference between learning online or being on class because the lecture engagements and the seminars were so effective, and there were a lot of discussions over different case files that we discussed. And starting over why I chose University of Nottingham being from India, one is because I wanted to pursue my business studies after my engineering, and UK sort of being an epicenter to study business and I heard a lot of positive feedback from my seniors back in India who studied at University of Nottingham, and that was one of the reasons I applied to this university. And I also saw that this university has good employability a factor that is sort of very important for anybody who's starting a master's degree. And also we get a very good career support in the university. Like till now, we have sessions every week with the careers team, and we sort of get trained towards how to write an LinkedIn profile, how to prepare for psychometric tests, how to practice for logical reasoning tests, what kind of questions would be asked in different kinds of interviews. Even yesterday we had a session with someone from consulting, and that was an amazing session where we got a lot of insights on how to start a career in consulting in different zones across the world. And I think the university sort of gives you an overview of everything that you want. Like when you start out as a business graduate, in whatever field you want eventually, it may be HR, it may be marketing, it may be finance. You always have somebody to guide you through it. And there are always the careers team is so supportive. Apart from the careers team, we also have great support from the admissions team and also from the immigration team. They're always there for you, whatever kind of support you want from them, regard to your BRP, regard to your tuition fee, or whatever it may be. They're so well responsive, and we always like at our ease in here. And apart from that, I think today I had my first face-to-face class, which is actually amazing. that I could certainly share about. So I just came back from my class, and it was really good to be in a classroom environment. And and the classroom was so diverse. I was able to see people from different nationalities, and having an interaction with them was really amazing. And since the pandemic is going down and we are going face to face, I think the university experience is going to be more amazing for the next term students who are going to come maybe in September or maybe next January. I think it's going to be completely face to face, and it will be amazing for you guys. And apart from that, I think academically the modes of teaching here was really fascinating for me, because being from India, I was so much used to rooted learning. Like we just learn concepts, we apply it in our exams. But here it was more of whatever we learned was through application, it was through discussions, it was through real-time cases, and that sort of gave us an expertise in the subject without putting so much of effort. Like we didn't have to sit through the day to learn something. We just had to be in the lecture engagement sessions. We just had to read what's been given to us. That was sort of enough for us to learn what is really meant to be learned. And also, I think the exposure I gained here was very different, because I went back to India a couple of months ago, and after attending 3 months of university, and my family said, you have so much, we could see so much of difference in you after, having some foreign education. We were able to see something in you. And I think that's always that you evolve as a person, you evolve as a professional, and your communication skills start getting enhanced. And I think it's an amazing exposure to be in the university, and especially after being a master's student and being from India, I think I'm really enjoying it. And also I'm working as a student ambassador, which is also a great experience for me to be here and interact with people and work with Emma. And yeah, I think it's been so good.
Fantastic, thanks, Edwin. It's great that you've had your first in-person lesson today as well. That's really, really exciting. Yeah, so thanks. That's a really, really nice summary of all the kind of things that you both reasons why you chose Nottingham, and also kind of why how you've got so much from the university already. And you've led me very nicely into talking about career support as well, which is great. So just to go over in a bit more detail the career support that we do have at the university. So just to give you an overview of how you're valued as someone with the University of Nottingham degree, it's a degree that's kind of known across the world, the University of Nottingham, as I mentioned, part of that Russell Group, and has a fantastic reputation because of it as well. We're ranked in the top 10 for employability for our students and top 70 in the world. So our students tend to find jobs fairly easily and quickly after graduating from the university. So our career service and careers and employability service, as someone was talking about, does really, really support our students. There's a lot of activity that they run as part of your day-to-day university experience. So it's kind of getting you in touch with our alumni, but also supporting you across the board. So it's not just for when you're at university, but it's also for after you've graduated as well. And you have this support service in our careers team for life. So it never ends. I think we're one of the only universities that kind of guarantees that in the UK as well. So it's really fantastic to know that you can come back anytime and contact the university either in person or online, and they'll be able to support you with your career. So as we mentioned, quite a few things that the university is doing already, so things like careers counselling, skills workshops, events, and also resources for you. There's things like internships and placements that they can support with as well, and also helping you get into and having those experiences with different organisations. And as I was kind of mentioning earlier, the alumni network is one of the key ways in which we do that at the university. You also have something called the Nottingham Advantage Award. So that allows you to build those soft skills. So things like maybe presentation skills, for example, you can build whilst you're studying, and then actually get a certificate and award for doing that once you graduate as well. There are lots of part-time job opportunities. As Edwin mentioned, we have opportunities in our office as student ambassadors, but there are lots of different other jobs kind of on and off campus as well. So you can work up to 20 hours per week on your student visa, and again, there's lots to kind of look for and get involved with whilst you're studying. So just to kind of summarize all the kind of work experience opportunities that you have. So if your course, for example, doesn't have it built into the program and you're a bit worried, there are still lots of opportunities to gain that work experience. So through the postgraduate placements team, through the award scheme that I mentioned, through our Uni10 service. And also, if you wanted to start your own business, we have an Ingenuity Lab as part of the business school that allows you to do that as well. I'm just going to very quickly mention the graduate route. So you're probably all aware of the graduate route already, but just to give a quick summary, it's open for all students that graduate from this September onwards. So if you're coming kind of this year or future beyond that, then you'll definitely qualify for this. It's open to all students. So for undergraduates and postgraduate students, you get a 2-year stay back option. And if you're doing a PhD, you'll get a 3-year stay back option. It's a very, very flexible visa. So what it means is you don't need to necessarily have work in place in order to get the visa. It's there for you to be able to search and look for jobs and find those opportunities. And also maybe mix and match on the kind of experience that you want. So you may want to do 6 months placement somewhere, 6 months somewhere else, and then a year working for a company. So it allows for that flexibility. So it's an extremely sort of flexible opportunity for students. There will be a fee attached to the visa. So at the moment it's £700 plus immigration health surcharge. And at the moment, what will happen is you apply for it after you've graduated from the program. So it's not part of your Tier 4 visa. It's a separate visa for students. So I'm just going to go on to talk a little bit about our location and where Nottingham is. That's a question that comes up a lot. So we've got a helpful map on your screen now. So as you can see, we're very, very central to England. So right in the middle of England, in an area called the East Midlands, because it's in the middle. We're about 100 minutes from London, so still really close to London, and you're probably the biggest nearest city is Birmingham, which is just under an hour away by train as well. So you have what I think a really, really nice location in that you're very central to the UK. You can explore a lot of the UK from Nottingham, and also kind of when you're looking for job opportunities, it's very easy to get across country and look kind of beyond the city if you wanted to as well. So to give an idea of our student community, so we have over 47,000 students based on our UK campus and then our Asia campus as well, and that's about 34,000 students based in the UK. And as I mentioned, that global alumni community of about 280,000 graduates, so that's kind of the links that we have for you to utilise once you've left the university or whilst you're still studying as well. Quite a lot of these graduates will come in and give talks to the university, so it's fantastic to have that link there. To give you a sense of what the university is like, so it's 300 acres of parkland in our main campus. So it's a campus-based university, and what's fantastic is you've got this beautiful campus-based university, but you're still really close to the city centre, so you're still only 10-15 minutes from the city. And I think that's something that's really, really unique to Nottingham. What you'll find in the UK is most campus-based universities are quite far out of the city, and then the other option is sort of city-based campuses, which are not kind of a secure sort of set location. They're kind of spread around across the city. So it's really, really nice having that mixture of kind of beautiful sort of green space, but still kind of having that city mix as well. So a little bit more about the city life and what's it like here. So Nottingham as a city, we're quite a small city, but with a really, really large student population. So we have students at both the University of Nottingham and Nottingham Trent University. So it makes us a really sort of big sort of student hub and one of the most vibrant cities, I'd say, kind of in the UK as well. We're a very, very safe city, so we win something called the Purple Flag every year since 2010, and that's for city safety. So that's specifically for city safety at night. Very eco-friendly, so as a university, we're also ranked 3rd in the world for sustainability. what I like about Nottingham is because it's quite small, you can find your way around it very quickly. It very quickly feels like home as well. So I think it's somewhere that you settle into very, very easily. It's a very creative city, especially for a small city. So there's lots going on in terms of the arts, lots to get involved with. And it's really sort of buzzing with different sort of cultures as well. It's home to Trent Bridge Cricket Ground, so it's not just the arts, also sports. We have a lot going on. As a city, we have 2 football clubs, an ice hockey team, and we also have lots of cricket hosted here as well. And kind of a nice summary at the end is that the city's been recently described by the Sunday Times Best Places to Live as fun, funky and affordable. I think that's quite a nice summary of the city because it's also a really, really affordable place to live. And I'm just going to hand back to Edwin and just ask if you can maybe give a little bit of a summary of your experience sort of in the city of Nottingham and how you kind of found living here and settling in, and then I'll sort of continue talking a little bit more about the city. Just carry on, and then Edwin, if you let me know when you're here, I'll hand it back over to you. So also what's really nice about the city is that you have a lot of sort of green areas around where the campus is. As I said, it's kind of a very green open campus, but we're also very close to Woollerton Hall, which you can see in the background of this picture here. So some of you may recognise this building. It's actually featured in the Batman movies as Wayne Manor. So it's often referred to by us as Batman's house. But it's a really beautiful place to explore. As you can see, we have sort of deer roaming around there as well.
Sorry, Emma, I was actually speaking in mute, so I just realized that.
Oh, no, no worries.
Yeah, sorry.
It's a good timing now because I'll hand back to you to just talk about your city experience as well.
Right. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, actually, the city of Nottingham is really nice to be as a student because it's a student city. We have 2 universities here, Trent and University of Nottingham. And I think, and the best part is like the city center is not so far from the university. It's walkable. We can just even walk every day and go there and, have a good time. And apart from that, there are a lot of scenic views in Nottingham, the Woollerton and Deer Park and all that. And especially during winter, Nottingham was so pretty. And the first time I saw the campus was full of snow, and it was like a wonderland. And I think as a student, you have a lot to explore here. I think it's and also there are a lot of small cities that are nearby. Like Birmingham is very nearby from Nottingham, and London is like 2.5 hours from here if you go by car or if you even take a train. And even Sheffield is a bit nearby. So whatever small cities you want to explore being in the UK, I think Nottingham is sort of a center somewhere you can go to any city which is actually nearby, and I think it's very nice to be in as a student, and it's also affordable. Like the prices here and the cost of living here is really affordable for a student, and that's one of the major reasons I chose Nottingham, because unlike being a city like London, which is so expensive in sort of accommodation, also with the living expenses, Nottingham is really affordable. And if you have a part-time job, I think it's so easy to survive here as a student. You do not ask your parents for money every month, and yeah, I think it's a really good place to be as a student. That's all from my side. Thank you.
Perfect, thanks, Edwin. So I've just got a summary here of the courses that we do at the university. So as you can see from your screen, these are our sort of 5 key faculties that we have at the University of Nottingham. What I will add is it's kind of easier to say at Nottingham what we don't do rather than what we do, because we have such a wide variety of subjects on offer here. So as you can see from my next slide, we have over 500 different degree programs across these 5 faculties. So one of the key things that we don't have is dentistry. We're also not really a university if you're looking at kind of practically applied arts-based subjects or practically applied creative subjects. Apart from kind of English and writing, we don't really offer much on that side. But most other subjects are taught here at the university. So there's a real wide array of programs. And again, sort of hopping on our website and having a look through those programs is kind of the best way to start, really. And what I always recommend students do is if you look through the course details for each program, if you look through the module details, it'll give you a really good feel as to whether that program is right for you as well, a good fit for you. And then you can have a further discussion with someone like myself at the university if you want to find out a bit more. One of the other fantastic things about the University of Nottingham is the funding opportunities that are available to students. So I think there's a lot that we offer here. So I'm just going to quickly go through everything. But again, if you have any questions about this area, feel free to pop them in the chat and we'll pick them up later. So in terms of school-based scholarships, we have computer science with their own funding for both undergraduate and postgraduate students. So this varies from 10, 25 and 50% of your course fees covered. We also have the business school for postgraduate students with awards from 75, 50 and 25%. And then we have a South Asia Undergraduate Excellence Award as well, which is about £7,000, and that'll come off your first year of tuition fees. For postgraduate students, we have a bit more on offer. So we also have something called a Developing Solutions Scholarship, which is 50 to 100%. And because India tends to be the country that we recruit the most students for that are eligible for this award, we tend to have the most awards for students from India and sort of South Asia in general. So we tend to get about sort of 50 of these awards for students from sort of my regions, which is fantastic. So a lot of opportunity here. So this year we also have our South Asia Postgraduate Excellence Award, which is valued at 4,000 to 8,000. So this is an award that we kind of look at every year and may change slightly, so that amount may be higher or lower. And this year as well, engineering have also contributed towards this award. So we have scholarships of £6,500 to £12,000 that you'll be considered for if you apply for that scholarship, but you're also holding an offer from engineering. Then we have our Commonwealth Shared Scholarship, which covers 100% of your tuition fees, plus return airfare to the UK from your country of residence. This is a combined award with the Commonwealth. So again, just make sure you're checking kind of early deadlines for this scholarship. And with all these scholarships, I feel like students always get tired of me saying this, but make sure if you're looking to apply for a scholarship at Nottingham or any university really, that you apply as early as possible. So you're kind of applying in the sort of winter before your course starts. So you're giving it a lot of time to get your offer in hand and then apply for scholarships as well. Some scholarships, like the business school scholarship, are on a first come first serve basis. So again, applying as soon as you can, as soon as the course is open for PG applications is kind of the way to go. A common misconception that sometimes happens is that you need everything to apply to a university, and you don't. So one of the things that you don't necessarily need in hand is your English qualification. This can be set as a condition of your offer. You also don't need your full degree and transcripts yet, so you can just send us what you have to date, and we can again send a conditional offer based on those transcripts as well. So something to be aware of. I'll just ask Aswin if he wants to add anything here, or if he applied for scholarship, or if he has any kind of advice for students applying for scholarship that you'd like to add.
Yeah, so with my case, I applied to the university, I think the day before the admission closed. So I think that was in the very last moment. So I didn't apply. I couldn't get a chance to apply for scholarship, which I really regret now when I see the slides. But most of my friends, like I think all of my friends here who do the same course as I do in business school, have got a scholarship from India. And that's the time I felt I should have applied a bit earlier. So if you apply as early as possible, there are a lot of chances for a student to get a scholarship. Yeah.
Thanks, Aswin. It's nice to be backed up by a student as well. So thanks for sharing that. So yeah, definitely apply early as well. So I'm just going to talk very, very briefly about the current situation. Firstly, about how Nottingham is contributing towards tackling the pandemic, and then also just to give you an overview of what the situation's like now. And I'll hand over to Aswin as well to give a bit of an overview of what his experience has been like again for us. So we've done a lot to support the current situation. So we've loaned over £1 million worth of equipment to support with national COVID testing. We've offered a lot of advice to the government and local health providers and the media. So as I mentioned, Jonathan Van Tam is an alumni, but he also still works very, very closely with the university. And we support sort of him and his team a lot with the work they're doing. We've been doing a lot of research into the virus and its impacts. It's not just within the medical school, for instance, but also things like economic impact as well. And also working and volunteering in the community and at NHS hospitals. So what's the latest news from the UK? So wherever it's safe and possible to do so, we are teaching in person. Lots of classes are still online. So the reason why we do have still online classes is to do with social distancing. So we still have to remain sort of 2 metre social distancing. And if you're sat in a theatre or auditorium, you still need to have that distancing in place. So what that means is quite often there isn't the space available for the really, really large lectures to be able to space out in this way. So quite often we have to make sure that those are still online. It depends on the situation in September, but it might be that we still have a blended approach where most is in person, but these large lectures are still online. But if social distancing rules relax or change, that's when we'll be able to go back to lectures being in person. So it all kind of depends on that social distancing element. So the government does have a roadmap that they've produced for lifting lockdown completely, and you can view that online if you wish to in a bit more detail. Our new date for kind of being fully out of any kind of lockdown measures, not including social distancing though, will be the 19th of July. So this has been moved just by a month because of the Delta variant coming to the UK. And a slight spike in cases. There has been a spike in cases, but it's tend to have been with young people in the UK, and it's also tend to have been non-extreme cases, so people haven't been hospitalised with COVID. So again, a very positive picture still in the UK. Vaccination is going really, really well. So about 31.5 million people, which is about close to half of the population here in the UK, have been fully vaccinated. And also now anyone over the age of 18 can be vaccinated. So we have kind of everyone kind of being able to be vaccinated. What that means for you, so if you're coming this September and you're listening, it means that you can get your vaccine once you're here if you've not had it already. So it's something to bear in mind if you're not sure where to have it, that you can still have it in the UK as part of being on the NHS service, as long as you're kind of 18 and over at the time of coming. And I'm just going to hand over to Aslan if he wants to talk a little bit about his experience this year. I know you mentioned you had your first in-person class today, but maybe just give us a little bit more insight into what this year's been like.
Yeah, you asked me about in-person classes today.
Sorry, what was that, Edwin?
No, you want me to talk about the in-person class?
Yeah, if you could just talk about kind of what your experience has been like at the moment and how things have been sort of easing and what it's like now kind of learning and studying at the university.
Yeah, I think I sort of got used to the online learning with my first semester, but after going to in-person class, it was actually very nice, and we felt that why can't we have in-person classes every day? Because of course the point of meeting someone in person is really different, and the kind of interactions you can have in person is really different. But and the campus is really beautiful, so you want to go to the campus every day and go inside the buildings and sit in your classroom with your fellow classmates. But of course, with the kind of situation that the world is around, I think everywhere it's online, and we have to adapt to this. And but the experience of being in person was amazing. The kind of learning we got and the kind of clarity we were able to get over certain things in a discussion was actually much better than being in online. Because sometimes in online we sort of limit ourselves to talking in a class, but in person the professor would ask you, okay, you come up and talk. So that sort of breaks the inhibitions for a lot of people in the classroom, which I was able to see today. Otherwise, I think I'm also hoping that in-person classes starts even through lecture engagements. But yeah, I think the online classes were almost the same in the way the teaching was delivered. The teachings are actually equally good in online class too, but in person, the only difference is that you meet people in person, you get a better discussion in person. That's the only difference, and you be in campus with your friends. Yeah.
Perfect, thank you. It's really nice. I think it's nice that when I've been speaking to students, they've said very similar to you that it doesn't take away from kind of the studying when you're studying online, but it's just obviously it's so much nicer when you get to interact with your colleagues and your fellow students much more easily than you do when you're in person as well.
Yeah.
Great. So I'm just going to finish with a little bit about the activities that you can do whilst you're studying and our societies as well. So as I mentioned, kind of Sports University will be a fantastic place to come if you are interested in sports, or if you're playing at an elite level as well. So if you're playing at a national or international level, then we do have fantastic sports scholarships also on offer that you can apply for. So this is our David Ross Sports Centre, which is on our main University Park campus. So there's loads to get involved with and part of this facility. So 200 station fitness suite, climbing walls, swimming pool, martial arts studios as well. So lots and lots of high-tech sports facilities available to our students. We also have lots of different societies, so including sports, so 70 different sports societies and then over 300 different student-run clubs. So it's really any interest that you can imagine. So I'll put a few on the slide, including things like chess, travel, even Quidditch, but it kind of goes beyond that as well, because if there's something missing that you're like, oh, I really want to start a society in this area, or I wish we had a society here, you can do that and start your own society as well. So it's kind of something that's always growing and evolving with the different student body that's at play at the university as well. Just a little bit of an overview of some Indian students at Nottingham. So we have about 350 students from India on campus, and about 3,000 Indian alumni that are currently domiciled in India. So the numbers sort of higher than that of those that are kind of spread across the world. A really vibrant Indian student community. I think what I've noticed is everyone kind of gets to know each other very, very quickly. We have these WhatsApp groups that you can join before coming, and it already seems that people have made friends before they're here, and it definitely feels like an environment where people are there to sort of support each other and help each other kind of across their study as well, which is fantastic to see. We have lots going on campus, so when we can celebrate in person, it includes Holly on the Downs, which is a really, really fun event, and you saw a photo from in the kind of the last slide. Eid, Diwali, all kind of celebrated on campus and as part of the university as well. There's halal, vegetarian and vegan diets, which are widely catered for, both on campus, but also kind of across Nottingham. I myself am vegan, so I find it really, really easy to find vegan food. And also there's vegan supermarkets as well. So there's a lot kind of support with any kind of dietary requirements as well. One thing is that we do love our Indian food here at Nottingham. So someone pointed this out to me the other day, but there's over 90 different Indian restaurants in Nottingham, as well as Asian groceries and many other international cuisines that are covered for. So as well as our Nottingham societies, so we have our Indian Dance Society. We also have the Nottingham Indian Diversity Forum, which is a really exciting society that was set up by our business school students, but it's there to sort of bring the culture of India to the University of Nottingham. So they've had lots of guest speakers, including Rohit Shetty and Saurabh Ganguly. So it's been really, really exciting for the university to kind of have this new society that's bringing a lot of interest and a lot of fantastic people to come and speak with us. So I'm just going to hand over to Edwin quickly before I kind of finish up to say if maybe you could talk about your experiences in terms of the student community, whether that's kind of societies and sport related, or whether that's just kind of making friends and meeting people here.
Yeah. So with societies, I think there are a lot of societies, as it's been mentioned. You can join any society of your own interest. It may be dance, music, and of course, there's an Indian society. And even within Indian society, there's a Tamil society. There is a society across with different states within India. I was actually interested more in economics and finance personally, so I joined the Economics and Finance Society because they conduct a lot of recruiting events, which was actually useful for me to connect with recruiters, to know what kind of what companies are recruiting. So even if you're interested to take your career forward in a particular area, I think there are societies for the same. There is a consulting club, and there is a society for, I think, green finance or something like that. There are a lot of societies out there, and I think connecting with people with this pandemic, honestly, there is no in-person meeting with societies or anything like that. But there are WhatsApp groups that the university creates, and you sort of interact with people from your country. And even before coming here, we were able to make friends, and we were able to discuss over WhatsApp. And after coming here, we were actually able to meet a lot of Indians, and I think connecting with people was not an issue at all because of the technology we have today. It's not necessary that we need to have society. I mean, I'm talking about the pandemic scenario. I mean, even otherwise, with the societies and clubs, we can connect across a lot of people. But even in this current scenario, we were actually able to make a lot of friends, connect with people, go across the UK on tours together, and it was really fun. And also, like, you have your flatmates, and they might have some other friends, and you just keep connecting like that. I think connecting with people was is actually good. And of course, in your classroom, we get to interact with people. We are put in cohorts, so you start making friends with them in an organic way. And I think connecting with people is really good here. And societies are a lot of societies. I'd like to explore them after the lockdown gets lifted. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. I think that's a really good point that you mentioned as well, that we also have course-related societies that kind of link you up for your kind of area of interest, but can also support with your career ambitions as well. So it's really important to maybe join those, as Aswin did as well. So definitely ones to look out for when and if you come to the University of Nottingham. So I just wanted to end with kind of ways to find out a bit more about the university, but also kind of get a bit more first-hand experience of the university as well. So YouTube is a really, really good forum for that. I know we're on there today. If you go to our University of Nottingham videos, then you can watch student videos and kind of really hear from that student experience in a bit more detail as well, or in specific areas that you're interested in. We also have virtual talks online. So with the pandemic, a lot of our open days moved online. So you can see a lot of material from those and get a feel for a course that you're interested in and a sense of what it would be like to study that at the university. You can also chat to our current students, so the link's there, but if you were just to Google University of Nottingham, chat to students, it should pop up. But there you can connect with students that are currently studying at the University of Nottingham and ask them specific questions. So maybe if your question doesn't get answered today and it's a student-related question, you can pop on there and ask it to them as well. Finally, I think one of the key sort of pulling factors of our university is just how beautiful it is. And as Aswin said, when he came and he saw Nottingham, he just was taken aback by kind of how lovely and beautiful it was in the snow in the winter when he arrived. And I think that is a really, really big thing for the university. And quite often people will say, oh, I saw the campus and I knew that's where I wanted to study. So now we have a kind of virtual tour that allows you to really see the campus as if you were kind of walking through it. It also has, as you can see, these little videos that pop up as you're kind of virtually walking around, and they play sort of videos that give you a bit more detail of the area that you're walking around currently as well. So I'd really, really recommend doing that and going for a virtual tour. Finally, if you have any questions that you'd like to ask that aren't student focused, then do get in touch with myself. My email's on the screen now, or my colleague Arishta. She looks after South and West India, but do get in touch with her at the moment whilst we're recruiting for our Northeast India representative as well. So either of us will be able to help with any queries that you have at any time. So our main job is to kind of make sure you're supported throughout the whole student journey. And I'll end there and just see what questions we have coming in as well.
Thank you so much, Emma and Ashwin, for such a knowledgeable and wonderful presentation. Now we are moving towards the Q&A session. The first question the student want to ask about the details about the process, procedure, availability, fees, and suitable timing to apply for the admission.
Sure, I think I can remember all of that. So for fees, it does vary. So most of our courses, I would say, vary from about 17,000 to about 30,000, both sort of PG and UG level. Some are a little bit less. Some, like medicine, are a little bit more, especially when you go into your final years on the course. In terms of when to apply, I think we both kind of reiterated this point, but as early as possible. So don't kind of hold yourself back because you've not got an IELTS yet. You can apply sort of without an English qualification and get that as a condition, as I said earlier in the conversation. So make sure you are kind of making an application as soon as possible. And what were the other elements again? I don't know if I've answered everything that was listed there.
Yes, the other elements were was the procedure, eligibility, fees, and suitable time.
Sure. So for eligibility, it does range from course to course, and it ranges from PG to UG. So if you're looking at an undergraduate program, then our standard requirement is AAA to sort of BBB, but again, depends on the course. Some are a little bit higher as well. For postgraduate students, we look for an academic range, depending on your university, on average of about 60 to 70% GPA. So it's just something to bear in mind if you're applying. You can find the requirements on the university website, and then if you need a sort of a translation, if you will, of what your grade means, if you've done, say, CBSE, or if you've completed undergraduate degree from a certain university and you want to know what the requirement is, you can always send it to us and we can let you know before you apply.
Thank you, Emma. The next question. The student want to ask, I am a doctorate in management and planning to do additional PhD in your university. Is it possible?
Very good question. So I think what you want to do, how different it was to the doctorate that you've already undertaken, if it was building upon research and clearly showed that it was building upon research. So I would suggest getting in touch with the university and kind of giving us a breakdown of that profile. So you can send that to myself or to our international office, whose details are online. That would be my advice for first steps. The other people that you could maybe contact is the visa and immigration team at the university, because a big part of doing similar degrees and the issues around that is to do with visas and being able to get a visa if you're repeating kind of a similar course. So you may want to also raise the issue with them as well.
Thank you, Emma. So the next question, actually few more questions are related to the scholarship. The students really want to ask how to apply for the scholarships, and does the living expenses are included in the scholarship only, or it is excluded?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and I didn't cover it when we were talking, but for our scholarships, they all vary. Slightly, unfortunately, because it means they're all different in terms of how you apply. So for the business school that I mentioned, that's a automatically assessed scholarship. So again, that's why it's really good to apply early. For computer science, you apply through the School of Computer Science website, so you look directly at their details online. And then for the other central scholarships, so for the awards like the Excellence Awards, both UG and PG, and for the Developing Solutions, you need your offer in place first, and then you apply through the same portal that you make your application through for the course. So it's very, very easy to find. It actually prompts you as to which scholarships you're eligible for as well. And then you make a formal written application to those scholarships. And we assess students based on both the answers that they give to the questions that we ask and also their academic ability as well. So you're kind of assessed in two parts, which means it's a much fairer approach because some students can be excellent academically, whereas others may not be quite as excellent but have a really good kind of story to tell as to why they want to do a degree, and are still selected for the awards. So there is definitely kind of flexibility there in how they're assessed, but the deadlines are always quite early, so about March time. So again, kind of that apply early. You'll get sick of hearing me say that, but definitely apply as early as you can. The final part of the question about living expenses, so it will say on the scholarship whether living expenses are covered. None of our university-based scholarships cover living expenses, but some external scholarships that we either work with or external scholarships that are completely external, say like Chevening, do offer that support. So it's definitely worth looking at some of those. The Commonwealth Scholarship that I mentioned does cover living expenses, but that's only available for some courses. So just something to be aware of really when you're applying for these scholarships.
Thank you, Emma. The next question, student want to ask, what are the job opportunities and part-time jobs offered by the university, including internships?
So in terms of part-time jobs, there's lots on offer both on and off campus. So students can work up to 20 hours per week as part of their visa, and they can work in a variety of different organisations, locations, but also as part of the university. So we have an organisation called UniTemps, which is based on campus, and they help students kind of with those temporary part-time jobs and promoting those to our students. I mean, Edwin, you might want to talk very briefly about your role as a student ambassador and how that's been for you.
Yeah, this being a student ambassador, certainly like you represent the student community, you we certainly have to attend meetings like this. And I, in fact, I was asked to make a YouTube video of my experience in the university and set it across. And I think it was very interesting to be like, it's not a job that's pressurizing. It's like one sort of a fun thing apart from your work. And I think it's like engaging in student activities, and that's like outreach activities to incoming students, and being a part of WhatsApp groups and interacting with prospective students about their queries. And I might work maybe 3-4 hours a week, and that's interesting. And there are a lot of people who also work in other part-time jobs, and student ambassador is actually a good part-time job to start off with. And actually, I'm not doing any other part-time, to be honest. Yeah.
That's good. I think that's a good point. So the other point I always make to students is, like, settle in before you look for a job, get a feel of how intense your course is, coursework wise. And then the most flexible type of jobs are these kind of ambassador type roles, or roles in which you're kind of giving tours maybe on campus, because they have the flexibility that you can maybe take on a bit more work when you're less busy, but also not have to take on too much if you're busy as well. So it gives that sort of student flexibility. In terms of internships, you may have heard me mention in the presentation, but we do have a placements team that you can go to, as well as your dedicated careers team for your course, and you can talk to them about the opportunities to find placements outside of your course. For undergraduate students, there are opportunities sometimes built into the course itself, and those details will be listed when you're looking for your course online. And for postgraduate students, we have a handful of courses that are 2-year programs where you can have 1 year in industry as well. So there are those opportunities built into your course, but if they're not, then don't worry, because you can definitely find them through the university. And I think one of the key things from the alumni, India alumni that I highlighted at the start of this talk, is that a lot of our students, even in the situation where we were in lockdown and you couldn't actually go to face-to-face interviews, a lot of the students that I knew as ambassadors from my countries were still able to secure work either in the UK or back home, because of the support of the careers team and because of having that kind of guidance and support from them.
Thank you, Emma and Ashwin. The next question, student want to ask, I have 1 year of 1 year gap after my graduation. Can I apply for Business Analytics MSc?
Yeah, I think that's a good question because it's quite a common one with master's programs. So to have any kind of gap or study breaks, as long as you've completed your degree and you meet the grade requirement, that's absolutely fine. Or if you've been working for even kind of plus 1 year or up to 5 years or even longer, our master's programs don't have any cap on them in terms of the years out of the university. So you can still do any one of our master's programs, which is more flexible than some universities that have a cap on that kind of years in experience.
Thank you, Emma. The next question, student want to ask, can I apply now and get an update regarding application within a week?
So you can, I should be able to apply now. I think we've been slightly delayed opening for next year, so you might have to wait a couple more weeks until making an application. But it should definitely be open by the end of July, early August for next year. Or this year, we're still open for some courses. Turnaround times vary. So sometimes it's about 3 weeks on average. Sometimes this busy time of year, it might be a little bit longer, more like 4 to 5 weeks, but you should get a response, I would say on average within a month, if not sooner.
Thank you, Emma. The next question, is there any new COVID guidelines for international students due to increased cases in UK? Also, the student wants to know, is there classes face-to-face or online? And what about the post-study work visa?
Sure, so I'll go through those one by one. So in terms of regulations, they've not changed since the latest guidance. So the latest guidance is if you're coming to the UK as an international student, you have to follow the traffic light system. So we have green, amber, and red. If you're a red list country, which India and I would say the majority of countries currently are, you have to quarantine in hotel-based accommodation for 10 days, and that's normally near the airport as well. It's government led, so you have to sort of book it online through their resource, and then you can come to the university and you finish your quarantine. You also have to make sure you've had a COVID test before you come, and you have evidence of that when you arrive. You'll also do another COVID test when you arrive as well. So there is those kind of rules in place. I think it's really important to just kind of keep checking the rules, keep checking the regulations, seeing how they change, because they are, or they can be, sort of changing fairly frequently. So just keep an eye before you travel. Also checking with your airline before you travel, as they may have further restrictions or guidance in place that you need to follow before coming here. So they're kind of the key things that I would suggest to follow. I've forgotten the second question already. It's a three-parter. The second one?
Yeah, the third part was about the post-study work visa.
Post-study work. So for post-study work, you will be eligible. So anyone graduating from this September onwards will be eligible for the post-study work visa. It's a 2-year option for people that have done an undergraduate or postgraduate degree, and then a 3-year option for people that have studied a PhD and graduating. You apply to it after you've graduated, so it's not part of your student visa, it's a separate visa that you apply for afterwards. And it's really, really flexible. I think one of the things maybe that could be a misconception is that, I need to find a job, I need to get something secured within a time limit. But it's not like that at all. So it allows you to look and search for work. You can do different jobs on the PSW as well. So it's really, really flexible for students to utilise after they've graduated.
Thank you, Emma. The next question, does MSc Data Science Analytics and MSc Business Analytics program have any capstone project or some work placement components included within those programs? Also, the same student asked about the placements and
So It's best to kind of read through the course guidance online and go through the modules, but quite a lot of the modules, particularly for those courses, are quite practical or have practical elements. Normally you'll do a project piece instead of what's more likely like a classic dissertation. It's a much more practical approach, and that can be, if you wished it to be, maybe with the company or doing a project set by a company as well, as long as you're kind of being proactive at setting about that link. I don't think it has any sort of direct internship opportunity linked in with it. It will have links with business, I think, especially on the business analytics program, but you don't have kind of an internship link, but you can look for those internships kind of outside of the program. And as I said, kind of use the resources available at the university, so the careers team, the placements team, and use that to kind of find that short-term placement if you're looking for one whilst you're studying, or utilize the PSW, and once you finish, kind of use that sort of 2 years to gain experience after you graduate.
Thank you, Emma. One student wants to ask, I want to do PhD in management and business, but I didn't score good grades in my graduation. I have good grades in my master's, so do I have a chance to do PhD?
Yeah, I think you still would have a chance. It's definitely worth, because with a PhD, it's a much more sort of slower process in terms of applying for a PhD. So it's definitely worth kind of looking for a research supervisor, seeing if anyone is interested in the research that you're interested in undertaking, maybe mentioning to them about your academic background, focusing on the masters, but saying that your undergraduate's a little bit lower, and they can support you and take you from there. I think if a professor really liked your proposal, they may overlook the fact you're slightly lower in undergraduate, particularly if your grades are higher in masters. So it really depends on the school and the faculty, but I think if you contact them directly whilst you're looking for a supervisor, then hopefully you should get guidance before applying from doing that.
Thank you, Emma. The student want to ask, can you tell me something about MA Creative Writing course and any 50 or 100% scholarship available if they apply early?
So the MA Creative Writing course, it doesn't have quite the same scholarships, so you can still apply for the excellent scholarships, but these are more the £7,000 award, so it's slightly less than half. I think for those course fees, it will probably be more like kind of 40% rather than 50%. Off the top of my head, I can't tell you too much about it other than that we look for students that come from an English background. You do definitely have to submit sort of creative writing as part of your application, so we can see the level that you're at now. It's quite flexible in terms of the different elements of creative writing that you look at, so it's not just, for instance, kind of fiction writing. You'll look at poetry and all different levels of creative writing as part of the programme. But for a really clear breakdown, you can have a look at the MA Creative Writing online, and you can actually see module by module kind of how you're taught, what you'll look at, the kind of theory that you'll do as well as part of that programme.
Thank you, Emma. The last question for today's seminar. The student want to ask, what is the deadline for September intake?
So the deadline for this September, we have an official deadline of the sort of 1st of August for people to apply for master's programs. And then we also have for undergraduate programs, UCAS is closed, but we'll be reopening for clearing. So when people get their results, we'll be open and receiving those results and allowing students to kind of call up or message us and let us know their results and see if they can get on the spot offers still. So that tends to be open until kind of mid-August, but not all courses will be open as part of that. So if you contact us as soon as you get your results, then that's the best kind of opportunity for you. Similarly with the PG deadline dates, quite a lot of courses are closed. It doesn't take into account that some courses will close early as well. So just making sure that if you are interested still now, I would always say as soon as possible, or if you're undergraduate, as soon as you get your results, kind of get in touch with us and we'll see what we have available for you. But yeah, they're the two options there for students.
Thank you, Emma. Just two quick questions from students.
Sure.
Do you have January intake? And what one student want to do pharmacy? Is there any specialized course in pharmacy? And one question, I want to do law this in this year. Is there any kind of facility for law participants or students?
So yes, to both. So we have both law and pharmacy programs, both at undergraduate and postgraduate. For postgraduate, for pharmacy, it's called Drugs Discovery, is kind of the program that you want, and that's our program sort of within pharmacy that you would look for at master's level. They're the kind of the two courses that you would, well, two areas that you can look at for both UG and PG. As I said, we've got quite a lot on offer for law. So we've got some courses that you don't need to come from a law background, and some which you do. So again, kind of looking through those different law programs and the specialities within those and seeing kind of which is the best fit would be kind of what I recommend for those students.
Thank you, Emma and Ashwin, for your special time today. So we are now coming towards the end of this seminar. Anything else you want to put forward for the students who are watching us right now?
Sure, I think just really thank you for everyone for listening, or if you're coming to this later and watching it online, and thanks for joining us. As I mentioned, kind of it's nice to start my email on the screen, but do drop me an email and get in touch if you need anything, if you have any further questions. We'll be happy to help with those, and do explore kind of online the university's profile, both kind of on our website, but also on facilities such as YouTube and Instagram as well, and get a feel for what the university is about there as well.
Thank you, Emma. So in the end, I would like to thank all the students for joining us today. And to all the students, if you need any help or any information regarding the admission process or about the university, please feel free to contact Emma or SIUK India offices anytime. Thank you so much, both of you, for joining us today.